This week, we're diving into what feels like a perfect storm brewing in Australia. You've got a new poll that's turning politics completely on its head, household budgets are really at a breaking point, and all these international pressures are mounting. So we're going to break down what's happening, and more importantly, why it matters.
And really, it all kicks off with this question. A brand new poll just dropped, and honestly, it's sending absolute shockwaves through the political establishment. We're seeing a historic collapse for one of the major parties and a totally unprecedented surge for another.
So to get our heads around all this, we'll break it down into 4 key parts. First, what in the world is behind this new political order? Then we'll look at the economic pain that's fueling it all. We'll also see how global events are playing a role, and finally, we'll get into the conversations Australia is having about its own future.
Okay, let's dive right into it. We're starting with the numbers that have everyone in camera talking, because for one of the major parties, well, they represent a new record low. Here are the headline figures from that Resolve poll, and they are just stunning. While Labor's primary vote has dipped a bit to 29%, the real bombshell is on the right. One Nation has rocketed up to 24%, leapfrogging the federal Liberals, who have absolutely cratered to just 22%. I mean, to be crystal clear, this is something we have never seen before in a poll like this.
So let's put these numbers into context for a second. At the last election, Labor was sitting at 32% and the Liberals were at 35%. Now, both have fallen, but the Liberal vote has just collapsed. And as you can see from those arrows, that support hasn't just vanished, it looks like it has directly fueled One Nation's incredible surge.
So, you have to ask, what is driving all this voter anger? Well, the number one issue is, of course, the cost of living. But here's the huge problem for the major parties. Nobody is trusted to fix it. The Liberals and Labor are basically neck and neck, but more than half the country either wants someone else to handle it or is completely undecided. That is a massive vote of no confidence on the biggest issue of the day.
And this political frustration, it's directly tied to the real economic pain people are feeling in their everyday lives. Let's dig into the 3 biggest pressures on household budgets right now: inflation, fuel, and housing.
The official forecast from the Treasurer is, well, it's pretty grim. Inflation was already heading towards 4% even before the war in Ukraine, and now it's expected to hit 5%, maybe even higher. That means the price of everything, from your groceries to your electricity bill, is just going to keep climbing.
And look, these are the Treasurer's own words. He's openly admitting that the economic forecasts are getting worse. He's basically preparing the country for a period of sustained high prices that will hit every single household budget.
You can see this most clearly, of course, at the petrol pump. Diesel has hit an eye-watering $2.69 a liter in some places. That is crippling for farmers, for truck drivers, and for our supply chains. The situation got so dire, the energy minister had to declare it a national crisis and start tapping into our strategic fuel reserves.
And this brings us to the 3rd major pressure point: housing. It's this really painful chain reaction. See, to fight inflation, the Reserve Bank is hiking interest rates. That, in turn, pushes up mortgage payments for existing homeowners, and for anyone trying to buy, it can lock them out of the market entirely.
So just how bad is it? Well, in Sydney, you now need a combined household income of $300,000 to afford a median-priced home. Just let that sink in for a moment. Even on a 6-figure salary, you're priced out of our biggest cities. For so many people, the Australian dream of owning a home is now completely out of reach.
Now, these domestic pressures aren't happening in a vacuum. They're unfolding against this backdrop of intense global events that are having very real consequences right here at home, in ways that are both deeply personal and highly strategic.
I mean, just take the gut-wrenching story of the Iranian women's soccer team. After competing here in Australia, several players sought asylum. But after a team staffer allegedly put pressure on them, 3 of the players reversed their decision and have now left the country. It's such a powerful human story about the long reach of an oppressive regime, even here.
And this story of international pressure on Australian soil is really part of a much larger geopolitical picture. Tensions are also rising fast in the Middle East, and the U.S. has publicly called for its allies, including Australia, to send warships to protect vital shipping lanes. So the big question is, what will Australia do?
Well, the government's position is very cautious. Officially, they're saying no formal request has been received. But behind the scenes, sources say Canberra is not eager to get involved, stating that its priority remains the Indo-Pacific. It's a really delicate balancing act between alliance commitments and our own regional focus.
So with all this political, economic, and global pressure, Australia is also being forced to look inward. There are 2 big conversations happening right now about the nation's future. One is about leadership, and the other is about skills.
First, let's look at Victoria, where we have this fascinating political contradiction. Secret polling suggests the premier is so unpopular she could actually lose her own seat, and yet the betting markets, which are often surprisingly accurate, still predict her government will win the election. It's a real sign of just how uncertain and unpredictable the political mood is right now.
The second big debate is all about the future of our workforce. You know, for decades, the message to young people has always been go to university. And while nearly half of high schoolers still plan to, there's a really noticeable shift going on. Almost 1 in 5 now say they want to go to TAF. That's our vocational education system, or learn a trade.
And this isn't just a blip. A decade ago, only 14% of students were choosing this path. The steady rise to 19% suggests a real cultural shift is underway. More young Australians are seeing the value and the opportunity in skilled trades, which is sparking a really vital conversation about how we train our future workforce.
Which brings us to our final thought for the day. We've seen a political order in complete turmoil, household finances under immense pressure, and global conflicts demanding a response. So as Australia looks to the future, debating its leaders and its skills, the crucial question remains, in a world with such profound challenges, are we focused on what truly matters most?